I'm going to talk about how I prepared for my GCSE mock exams. I used a lot of revision cards, especially for subjects like science. I did so many revision cards, and for history I did mind maps. I did like A2 posters summarizing every subject I needed to learn about. Everything I needed to know I put onto a big mind map. For maths I practice because, to be honest, there's not many notes you can write for maths anyway, because it's like you have to learn by practicing. Like art, you can't write notes for art, you have to learn by practicing. Same difference. I do recommend doing test papers. Everyone says do test papers. Genuinely, that helps you because you know what type of questions will pop up in the exam. Whereas if you just look at the materials you've gotten online and stuff like that for maths, or look at what you've done in class, it doesn't help you as much. I think it's my maths. That helps. That's really helpful for you to understand it, but you have to put it into practice too, because if you don't put it into practice, when it comes to an exam, you might not recognize when you need to use it. I'm not the best person to ask for maths. I wasn't that great. Just be ready. Literally do all your work beforehand, all your prep work. All you have to do for art is do all your work. It's so simply hard. Like it's literally the simplest thing, but it's so difficult to accomplish at the same time because it is a lot of work that you have to complete. French, practice. Know your vocab. Literally write it. You need to know what it sounds like. You need to know how to spell it. So like you have to do spelling tests as well as say them and hear them. Otherwise you're not gonna remember them when it comes to the exam, especially for GCSE languages now. Before we had controlled assessment or whatever, so we could practice our written exam and practice our speaking exam, have it all written out, and then in the exam you just have to remember it and write it all out, which for me is a good plus because my memory was actually pretty good back then. I don't know about now, but back then it was pretty good. So memorizing, I had it on point, so I was very good at speaking and writing. So I was like A stars in speaking and writing, but when it came to listening, I wasn't nearly as good. Vocab in my head, if that made sense, like I didn't recognize what it sounded like. So revision cards, mind maps, and being prepared for like art, for example. So that's all I can say. That's all I really did to prepare. Oh, teaching others helps as well. So that's very good. So if you know a subject better than a friend, you teach that friend and that friend can teach you. That's a very good way. That's how I learned a lot of things actually. I can't tell you that I remember my mock grades. Like I think I only remember my English mock grade. It was a 5. And I've been getting 5 for like the whole time I've been doing English, for like the 5 years I've been in school. I literally got the same level. But then in the exam I got a 7 and I was like, me, a 7? Please. In maths I got a 6 and I needed a 7. I wanted to take maths and physics, so I needed a 7 in maths, but I got a 6, so they didn't let me take physics because of that. And in physics, biology, and chemistry, I got all B's, but they were all 1 mark away from an A, and no matter how much I asked them to remark it, they did remark it. They could not find these extra marks anywhere. And honestly, even to this day, if you ask me about it, I still cry about it because it was literally devastating. Like I was so close to getting A's and I was just 1 mark away. 1 mark. Doing mock exams, I learned what I was capable of on that moment and what wasn't my strongest point, and I had enough time to learn and fix it, if that made sense. So in my mock exams I would know, I'm not very good at past tense in French. I'm not very good at... My lowest grade was for history. History is the thing I studied the most for, and I got a C. I was so annoyed at the time. A C is not bad, but a C is not what I wanted. I really thought I could get an A in history, and I still think I could have gotten it, but I messed up one of the papers. I think what is it called? League of Nations? I think that let me down or whatever, and I got the question mixed up and I wrote a whole essay on the wrong thing, and it was just a whole big mess. So that was disappointing for me. French, I got a B. I got A stars and A's in all aspects, speaking, writing, everything. And then when it came to listening, I flunked that. Like I literally failed listening, but because I got A's and A stars in the rest of it, it brought me up to a B. Basically, every grade I got was a B apart from the C that I got in history, but everything else was a B apart from my 2 A's. I got A in RE as well, But to be honest, it's very easy to get a good grade in RE. Just remember, love thy neighbor as thyself. But the best advice I can give you is to start now. Do what you can now. Don't like do work overload, but like do hours of the day. But make sure you stop at a certain point. So for instance, maybe 8:30, 8 o'clock, that's when your cut-off point is, or 9 o'clock your cut-off point is. So start earlier so that you can cut off at that point, so you can have a rest. If that rest is watching TV, Instagram, what's that other one, TikTok, YouTube, Netflix, whatever you gotta do, or if that's even like going straight to bed, then you do that. But give yourself a break, start early, start now. It's not too late to get a good grade on GCSEs. So thank you for watching, and I hope that my advice was helpful, even if it was a little bit. Just literally, if you do everything that I didn't do, you do great.